Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm really happy to introduce my friend. And I went back, I was stalking his Instagram and his Facebook page this morning because I was looking for like a badass photo of him because he's badass. Look, I'm already cursing. But ass isn't really a curse. Like,
Now the lines have kind of got blurred. I've noticed on TV they kind of let some stuff slide now.
yeah, so all right, I don't feel bad about that. I don't ever actually really feel bad about cursing, but I'm trying to I'm trying to stay calm in the world that is not so calm right now. So just to frame this out a little bit before I introduce Eric, who is going to remain unintroduced just yet, while I tell you how this came to fruition, this conversation we are about to have. I texted Eric yesterday and I said, hey, you got a few minutes to chat later? I want to check in and see how you're feeling. And then, we played phone tag for a while. And then we finally got to connect. Eric and I are both avid bike riders. We've rode bikes together and we've had great, deep conversations. And at the end of our conversation yesterday, I said, hey, you want to come on the show? And he was like, yes. And here we are. So Eric Dungy is my friend. That's really all I have to say about Eric. But Eric is so much more than that. And I'm so happy and proud to be your friend and to know you and to know that I could call you and ask you how you are doing during this really tumultuous racial induced time and ask you how you're doing. So how are you doing, Eric Dungy? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be on the show. I'm grateful for an opportunity just to speak and kind of share my heart. I'll be real, like I'm not doing great. Like, I wish I could say, oh, doing fine, but like, no, man, like I'm kind of sad. I'm kind of depressed. I'm pissed off. It's hard. I tried as much as I could to kind of, like whether it's riding bikes or doing yoga, trying to like escape reality at times, but at the same time, you can't, man. This is real. This is life. And so, yeah, I will say that like getting a text from you and then speaking with you and a couple other friends did show me that there are still reasons to be optimistic and be positive, that there are people that do care. So as low as I'm feeling, I do feel good when I'm speaking to friends, and I have friends that genuinely want to like know where I'm coming from and know how they can help and what they can do. So just now talking, I'm feeling a little better.
Good. Well, that is true for me too. I'm not, and Eric and I share this in common. I'm actually not even one to talk on the phone. Even though nobody really understands or believes it, I'm a straight up introvert. So when I have an opportunity not to be on the phone, I love it. And so I talked to, three of my closest friends that I felt I needed to have a conversation with yesterday because I wanted you to know that I cared. But talking about it is really, I believe, the only way to heal through this time. So maybe if you could just share whatever it is in your heart about what is currently going on, because as I said to you yesterday, I'm going to be very transparent, like it's time for me as the white woman to shut up and be more seek to understand rather than anything else right now. So I'm gonna do just that. I'm gonna listen to you.
Yeah, I think there's just speaking for myself and just as a Black person in America, there's just a collective exhaustion and just I think a sense of hopelessness. I mean, personally, I'm 28, so the first incident that really struck me was Trayvon Martin, which I think was 7 years ago, in Stanford, Florida, just maybe an hour up the road. For the last 6-7 years, and this again just for me, for other people it's been since the 60s or maybe longer. You see an injustice, you for some reason think that maybe this time will be different. You see it's not. You see another one a few months later, or a few weeks later, or a few days later, no justice, and you just feel like you're just getting beat up and you're just getting kicked, and it's an awful feeling. And I think the biggest thing is just like I lived somewhat of a privileged life, based on who I am, and so I'm not necessarily affected day to day, but my people that look like me and my friends and my people that I care about that are in fear and terror. I had a friend I just found out in Indianapolis that got killed last night, and there's still questions about whether it was racially related, whether it was with the protest, whether it was a hate crime, and he was, so it's every day, and you just feel like nothing's going to change, and you see something so egregious and you think, all right, this one's got to be it, and then it's not, and you're thinking, well, if this is going to be the one that's going to change the system, is it ever going to change? And that was where I was at, like Saturday morning. I watched church online Sunday, and it was a very nice. They had two pastors kind of having a dialogue, a black one and a white one, and I was encouraged by that. Encouraged by my conversation with you, and so there's some signs of encouragement, but like at the same time, there's just such a defeated feeling that knowing that like what is it going to take, So
Yeah, and I started my day interviewing a mental health counselor in Boston that will air tomorrow, and we were talking about the generational pain that is involved, because it's not one incident, and this stems from years and years and years of pain, and all of the pain is being introduced to the world right now as anger.
Yeah.
And it's valid, and I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm quite sure you don't agree with it, but at the same token, and I think I said this to you on the phone yesterday, because it's the only way I can relate it myself, is that sometimes when, I'm even having an argument with my husband, things don't change until I get angry.
Right.
Or things don't change with him until he gets angry.
Yeah.
And it needs to get to that point for people to actually listen to the pain that's being caused. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, just say you and I are having a conversation and a disagreement, like you may not take my side as serious until you see whether it's a verbal outburst, or maybe I punch a wall or whatever it is, and you say, okay, no, this is serious for him, and now as the other person I need to recognize this and help, so I think, yeah, obviously we don't necessarily want to see more violence, or small businesses lose their offices or their homes or whatever, but like this is years and years of pain being manifested and finally being released. And I think if you could just come from a position of like understanding, you may not necessarily say that I would do that myself, but I get it, man. Like you guys are frustrated, you're hopeless, nobody's listening to you, you're acting out. And also I think it's important to also remember that the coronavirus and like the firings and the people losing their jobs disproportionately affected a lot of minorities, a lot of Black people, a lot of lower class citizens. So you've had people that have been working for 2 or 3 months that in the last a month, they've seen 3 or 4 brutal murders on camera with no hope for justice. So you combine all that, like, yeah, people are frustrated, they're pissed off, they want to break something. And it's not everybody. This is maybe a certain portion that the news is going to obviously sensationalize things and do their thing. So.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why, I encourage everybody to be their own media outlet, because, of course, we want to speak about healing and we want to speak about how do we get there, but we actually can't get there until we face it.
Yeah.
Until, like there's all these great acronyms about just the word fear, face everything and recover. There's other ones too that start with F that I won't say right now. But really and truly, like, we have to allow this anger. There's I mentioned this when I was talking to this wonderful mental health counselor before. There's Risk Happy is a platform that I follow, and they had this great video of an elderly Black man, and then so I think he was like in his 50s, and then the other guy was in his 40s. And the guy that was in his 40s was trying to calm him down, understanding why he was so angry, but trying to calm him down. And then pulling in the 16-year-old into the mix, because that generational anger is going to affect the youth, right? And how we come up. So yes, we should be angry and we should be getting it out and talking about it. I'm not even going to say we, you. I'm a privileged white woman that need not even identify with that. I don't know what it's like, nor will I ever know what it's like. But I see how important it is that at least we're getting to a place where people are channeling their feelings, they're getting them out. Because if we keep pushing them down, that is why this implosion is happening. And you're absolutely right. I mean, the pandemic, that ain't helping.
Right.
Right? Like
you can forget about it, but like, yeah, like 4 days ago, that was the biggest story in the whole world. And so like, it didn't go away.
we're still in it.
Yeah.
Right? So I love that we've been able to have these conversations because I do really believe that all healing starts with just understanding each other. You know, and me being an empath, it's easy. I take on everybody's pain.
Yeah.
This I can't take on. I mean, I could cry, but I could also do something. So we spoke yesterday about that white paper that was actionable items. So I want to tell you, as of this morning, what I got back from the police department.
Yeah, please. So also just, I want to just quickly share I forgot how many action items listed. It was a 37?
75.
Okay, yeah. Like, I remember seeing that article get shared on Facebook, and like me as a young black man, I'm like, what the heck? Like 75, like, if y'all are still racist in 2020, like, what's an article gonna do? But talking to you about it, and like, you were like, oh, I didn't realize that the Largo PD didn't have body cams. That's something that I can go make a call and push that agenda. So it's like, so I think for me, it was helpful to speak to you and realize that like, there's things that are legitimate blind spots, and you're one of my closest friends and a loving person. So it's not like I'm like, oh yeah, it's just ignorant sharing. Like obviously you're part of you're down with the cause, but you need to learn, and so yeah, me just kind of be understanding of other people's blind spots and knowing that everybody experience life through my lens as well.
Yeah. Oh my God. I just got chills because of Alex singing that song. Lenses. If we could all see everybody through the lens of love.
Yeah.
Right. But we can't help it. You saying that to me, I was like, oh yeah, we must have been like, dumbass. 75 things. But the number one thing I'm still working on. Because this morning, so I emailed, as soon as I found out that I could make an impact in my own community, because that's where we should start.
Yeah.
Right? Let's not focus on saving the world. Let's focus on doing what we can, which you and I can talk about later. We're doing this to help the earth, not save it. I could email my police department, ask them about the body cams. I got a response back. They do not have these body cams. I'm lucky enough to sit on the board of Largo Parks and Rec, which you have come to. Yes. And we've done, because I'm always bringing in all of my people that I adore, that I know can help others. And I got the email back from this morning because my email already has gotten passed on.
Wow.
Right. Wow. I was so happy. And I haven't even really been able to analyze it because it came back from a different officer than I had reached out to.
Awesome.
Now I want to know why we don't have them. Is
right.
it, the budget, what can we do next? So that number one, I got a long way to go, Eric. I have 74 more things to do.
What are some other things, maybe some notable ones that you've seen that you feel called to do, or that feel like they touch you in a
yeah, like just the conversation with Cooper, he's 16. You and I talked about watching all of the movies and shows.
Yeah.
What's that Netflix show that both of us haven't watched yet?
Yeah, When They See Us, I haven't watched. It's been sitting in my suggestions for probably a year, and I just can't even mentally get myself to watch it. There's Just Mercy was a great film I did watch. I read the book. There's numerous movies and films on these topics, and again, just speaking to everybody who may be watching, just to kind of get out of your own shoes for a minute and maybe to see life through a different lens, and like Alex said, a lens of love and a lens of caring and understanding. and just realizing other people have different life experiences than you, and that's not good or bad. It's just reality, and how can I meet somebody where they're at?
Yes, that's how we change things, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have all the answers, but I think that's a good start.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's better than destroying something, although I'm fully on board with protesting as long as it's peaceful.
Yeah.
And then I also feel like, well, maybe I should be doing more, but I'm doing something. So I want to equate it to what you and Eric and I, we go on bike rides on the Courtney Campbell. We go from Clearwater to Tampa and back. Mostly not because we're such great exercise freaks, we just have a lot to talk about.
Right, yeah. I start talking about my girl situation, and before we know it, 2 hours later, I have to stop talking.
And I'm like sweating. I'm like, okay, we're done, right, Eric? You're like 20 years younger than me. But man, those are some good workouts. But we were talking about how another like parallel, right? Like my friend David, who was just on the show last week, David Houle, the futurist, he would get so pissed off when people would say like, I want to save the planet. I want to save the earth. And I have him in my head, you know? So I was like, okay, he just wants me to do something today to help towards, because it's such a big job. So instead of saving the planet, let me just start using reusable bags in Publix. And I told you that. Yeah. And what did you say?
So I need to do that too. So and you gave me a bag. You helped me get started. I've since bought more bags, but like you gave me my first one to kind of introduce me to the new ways and kind of give me that little nudge. Mm-hmm. And I've slipped up a couple times where I forgot, but like after a really part of my routine, I'm sure I'll pass it on to my mom and dad, and you know, it's just
little
like
things.
Just so you know, each one teach one kind of thing.
And the little things make a big impact. That's so. Watching that show on Netflix is going to be something that not only I watch, because it's kind of, you know, that overwhelming feeling. I also watched the other movie that you mentioned, and I get so sad. And I, you know, used to suffer terribly from depression as a kid. You know, I wrote the book about mental health, and I try to protect it by not going into the pain sometimes.
Yeah.
Which I don't know sometimes if that's good or bad, to be honest, but I have to if we're going to come to some resolution together. But really to watch it with my 16-year-old stepson, not that I haven't already, because I have, to make it more of a conversation with the youth.
Yeah, I think that's amazing to watch it, what you have, and then whether it's at the dinner table or whatever it is, just to have a candid conversation. And you don't have to have an agenda on this conversation, but let's just talk about what's going on and talk about life, and just like this film where there's this conversation where there's no script or anything like that, we're just talking, and you'll just start to feel each other's heart, and you can learn from one another. So I think that's great what you're doing, and hopefully you can, you know, maybe Cooper will feel comfortable to do that with some of his buddies, and Rob as well, and you know, and that's how things change kind of one by one. Right,
because like I said to my husband, he'll, you know, he's a white privileged man. He'll never know what this feels like. He'll never know why everybody is so angry because he's not Black. Right. It's that simple. Until you are that, you can't understand. I want to bring up, I want to be able to help some people today, Eric.
Let's do it. Yeah. Let's do something.
Good. So I want to be able to talk about what it feels like when somebody like myself, Whitey McWhiterty, I know I have a lot of soul in
You're literally like Irish, right? Like you're as white as they get.
I'm so white, but I'm so like my playlist you send me.
Oh yeah.
Listen to, right? So I'm pretty damn cool. But now what the hell was my point? Oh, when somebody says I don't see color. Yeah. A white person says I don't see color. What does that feel like to you?
I mean, it feels like a lie. Like, what kind of car do you have? Can you describe your car?
Silver.
Oh, so you see color.
I do.
what color shirt are you wearing? Like, oh, it's white and blue. Like, so you can see color. So all right. So like, when white people try to get like politically correct and like, oh, African American person, like you can say Black. Saying the word Black doesn't make you racist. Saying I hate Black people makes you racist. Or I don't like. But saying the word Black is not a racist term. You know, like so. to say I don't see color is like, all right, I can't even get through to you. But like, you can say, actually, I do recognize that there are people that look different than me and they get treated different than me. And I am understanding of that and I'm aware of that. And so I see that and recognize that and I understand that. Like that's way better than, oh, everybody looks the same to me. I don't see anything. We're all, you're white, I'm black. I didn't know. Like, really, you had no idea?
Right.
So
Well, you
your shirt's white, my shirt's black, and we can see that. But then your skin, I'm like, what? Like,
well, so that's so funny. I love that we're talking about this because I do know that kind of like how you saw that post, right? About 75 things. I do know it is with good intention because
right.
I know the people that have said those words
Yeah.
that I have watched cry over straight up racism because their hearts are broken to watch and feel helpless. So
Sure.
saying, I don't see color, is just, they feel like it is the right thing to say, but it is actually the wrong thing to say. That's why I say we need to listen more than we need to speak or tell
And
stories.
that's a perfect example of like probably reaching out and having a conversation with somebody that you may not have a conversation with, or like having like a deeper conversation than like maybe you don't necessarily have, because you could have like the best intentions in the world, and from just not you literally, but just you as a person, like, hey, from my little nice little house in Bel Air Beach, Florida, I don't see color. I'm not racist. I'm doing my thing, and like that's good. But like you calling me, and then we talk about it, and then you say the I don't see color phrase, and I say, actually, I kind of hate when people say that, and here's why. Like, oh, boom! Like now you've actually made more progress than you just saying that. I'm not going to be racist. I would never profile somebody like that's great. That's a good initial, level 1, but like level 10 is like, I do see color. It sucks that we're still, having these issues, and I want to be part of the solution. And part of that is understanding that so people of certain colors get treated unfairly, and how, as somebody in the majority and dominating class, how can I use my privilege and my, clout or whatever you want to say to make life more fair for those who don't have the voice or whose voices is being ignored.
Absolutely. I think that I was thinking before when you were, it's, it sounds like that wonderful white accent, like it's the best. To me, it's the best. I love to hear it. But, I have been in conversation with, my white folk, and they will be like, well, so I was, having this great conversation with a black person. Right? And I'm like, did you say black person? Right? Like it is this very unspoken, like, I don't even know why anybody does that. It's like saying somebody is black. So if you're uncomfortable, right? This is what I have found. Like, I would say this to Eric, because this seems normal to me, because I like to ask uncomfortable questions. Hey, Eric, do you prefer to be referred to as a black man or as an African American man? What is the right thing to say?
And I would say, I'm a black man. You can call me a black man. Like, I'm not offended by being just like, it's maybe like 300 years ago, I could have been like, hey, don't call, like, the ship sailed on that. Like, you call black people black, you call white people white, you call brown people brown, like, that's fine. Like, and right. But you asked me, you may not have known that until you asked me.
Right. I mean, I could say the same, and especially this month being Pride Month, that I have had the great pleasure, because I have, just like I have black friends, I have gay friends too.
I have a gay friend. One of them, watch it like.
But only one.
Just one, to make sure that I can get my one picture on Instagram and get everybody off my back.
I'm going to tell you this story because I got to tell LaFern this yesterday. I don't think I told you. I'm going to have to bring LaFern on the show because we had a laugh about it. I met, so I'm reading 50 Cent's book, which with all white people like myself struggle just saying 50 Cent. 50 cents. Um, so I'm reading his book right now, which is fantastic. And I was telling her, and I had the great pleasure of meeting him years ago. So I have this great picture of, well, maybe it's a great picture of him, not so much of me, because I'm so happy to be with him. Because I got to like get in on this picture because I have my New York license plate. He's from Queens. So I was so proud of myself. And I have this, so I was going to put a side to side picture of me and him and a picture of his book. And I told LaFern this, and I go, you know, I didn't post it because I didn't want people to think I was bringing out all of my Black friends right now. Right?
I mean, like, that's legitimate. Like, I understand that. Like, especially as I think you and I, like, both are, like, thinkers / overthinkers, where you're like, so, Whitney, one of our mutual white friends, we made brunch together via FaceTime on Saturday, whatever day it was. I don't know, every day is every day. Anyways, and she posted it on Instagram, and I didn't post it because I was like, I don't want people to think that like I'm just so naive to like what's going on in the world, that I'm just cooking brunch with my white friends and everything was great. Like, even though like, you know, it's just like you're like really having to overthink everything you project, and like, ooh, I hope this doesn't get taken the wrong way, or I hope this doesn't get interpreted, you know, slightly wrong. Like,
right. Yeah, no, I totally get it. You know, I also I read a lot of books, you know, that I'm constantly talking about books. You sent me a great book that, when do I have it right here? I want to show everybody now.
Plug it in.
Did you, no, here it is. No, that's not it.
Oh.
Damn it. I have so many. Oh, here it is.
Yes, one of my favorites.
Blue fishing. Oh, that's from you.
That is from me.
My Black friend.
Handwriting, my third grade handwriting.
You have a great handwriting. Great book, but we share a lot of books. We like to talk about books. So I read this book that all women in business really are reading. And of course, now I can't. It's Glennon Doyle's book, Untamed. And she had, at a point in her career, spoken out about racism. She's a white woman. And she got a lot of slack, which, you know, I get. And it does become a fear for, you know, what do I say, what don't I say? But whatever you do, don't say nothing.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you know, it was never the intention even, and I told you that yesterday on the phone, like, I was to be on the show.
Right.
You know, it was just, I don't want to not talk about something that is so serious.
Yeah.
And ask you how you're doing, and ask you how your family's doing, and ask you what your footprint will be during this. Because I know you were asked to speak at a church, correct?
Yeah. So I'm excited about that. We're recording a roundtable, a roundtable, I should say, at South Tampa Fellowship with JJ Johnson and a few other kind of local community members. So just excited I was really depressed before I found about that opportunity. And then I was, you know, had that optimism that, you know, I can hopefully be a bridge to, you know, between different communities, and, you know, be somebody that people may listen to and take my experiences to heart. And so I'm optimistic that I can, you know, speak some truth and change some hearts.
Yes, I am optimistic too. I think that we probably have a little more pain to go through. Yeah. And then, and knowing that you and your family have such a great faith. I was so happy even to be talking to this mental health counselor this morning about, you know, spiritual health through all of this. And everybody I talked to yesterday, LaFern and Cynthia, and we were all talking about God, and we were all talking about how we have to be able to connect to a source that can get us through, and lean on each other.
Yeah.
Lean on each other and talk to each other, and not shy away. But, you know, dare I recommend to my fellow white friends now, it's probably best to listen.
Yeah. And I think I've also from this experience learned that like 6 months from now, when, you know, women are being attacked, or gays are being attacked, or children, or whatever the group may be, like, it'll be my turn to listen then, and not just say, oh, hey, this is not a Black thing. I'm not worried about that one. Like, nah, like when there's a issue that's affecting maybe your population or your group, that like, all right, this is my chance to now listen and learn from you.
Yeah, when they come after the Irish, you better be there. It's been a while since they've come after the Irish, but you better freaking be there. When they start protesting the New Yorkers, I want you by my side. But I mean, nothing makes me happier knowing that even you and I starting this conversation, that we were both kind of feeling a little effed up.
Yeah.
That we can laugh, we can talk, we can heal through conversations that are built on love and not anger. Because, you know, facing fear, face everything and recover is better than projecting it all without understanding. So I'm so grateful that you allowed me to listen. And just like Alex said on Friday, I guess it was Friday, just like you don't know what day it is, I don't know either. When I asked him what we should name the show, because I was putting racism in the title, and he said, why don't we just talk about humanity?
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that we could continue the conversation about humanity.
Yeah, on that note, I just want to kind of, this again, none of this is planned, we've just been talking, but a quote that kind of came to my mind was from the late Jim Valvano, who was a famous college basketball coach. And one of his last big speeches, he mentioned 3 things everybody should do every day is to laugh, think, and cry. And so whether that's conversating with your loved ones, with strangers, whether that's taking in news, you know, you've had a full day, if you can at some point have some joy, smile, laugh, at the same time, spend some time in reflection, think about things, you know, expand your mind a little bit. And at some point, if your emotions, you know, bring you to tears, and it may be sad tears, it may be tears of joy, you know, maybe confusion. But I think, you know, if we can kind of have that mindset that we're going to have thoughtful time, we're going to have joyful time, we may be upset at times, but like that's a full day. And I think that's something that humanity can do, not Black people, not white people, not, you know, only if you're getting attacked. You know, this is like every day for everybody is to laugh, think, and cry, and we'll hopefully be a lot more connected as humans.
Well, that shit made me cry.
Well, there's the cry today.
We were talking, I was crying. Really, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for all the wonderful work you do and your family does. Honored to call you friend, and so glad that we can take a bike ride again soon, and hopefully we'll be somewhat on the other side of where we're currently at.
Yeah.
We'll be closer to the other side together. Thank you, Eric. Thank you so much. And don't forget, you know, you'll see it in the show notes. He's a badass realtor too. So if you're looking for a place in Tampa Bay, that's your man right there. Eric Dungy, thank you for joining.
Appreciate it. That was an honor. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you. So don't forget, if you mention that you have seen the show or listened to the podcast, Thai Technology, 3 months for free.